Welcome to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, the #1 podcast and resource for Black entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and Black Entrepreneur Blueprint was created specifically to educate and inspire Black entrepreneurs to launch, build, and grow successful, sustainable businesses. Join us as we help build an economic power base in the worldwide Black community by building and supporting Black-owned businesses. If you're currently an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, you're invited to join us each and every week here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family and get ready to elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, episode number 396. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and today we have another outstanding and informative show in store for you. Today, family, we're going to be talking with Mr. Dedric and Krystal Polite, the founders of Be Polite Real Estate, and also the stars of the new A&E show, 50/50 Flip. Now, today we're going to talk about how Dedric and Krystal left corporate America and created a multi-million-dollar real estate empire in a little over 3 years, and they really are focusing on building generational wealth for their children and their children's children. Now, before we get to the interview, I just want to share a few things with the B&B family. First and foremost, I want to welcome all first-time listeners to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family. Please stick around until the end of today's broadcast, and I'm going to share all my social media contact information and resource links, such as the link to my new book, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. Also, 2 platforms I've created to help circulate dollars in the worldwide Black economy, BeSmartByBlack.com and HireBlackFreelancers.com. Also, don't forget my new rebranded, rebooted BEB Academy. So if you're a new entrepreneur or an existing entrepreneur and you want to elevate your entrepreneur IQ, make sure you go to BEBacademy.com. Enroll, you get 3 days free access to all the online resources, which include online courses, master classes, and other resources to help elevate your business. We have content that's in finance. We have content for marketing, e-commerce, all types of strategy. So make sure you go to BEBacademy.com and take advantage of the 3-day free access to the academy. Now, let's get ready to get to today's interview. And also, don't forget, make sure you sign up for the BEB newsletter. Just go to blackentrepreneurblueprint.com because we have all the show notes in the newsletter, which comes out Monday morning and Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. So you may be watching or listening to this and you're not able to write down things or create or get the links that you need. So make sure you sign up for the newsletter because all the show notes and links that I talk about will be in the newsletter. Now, let's get ready for the interview. We are live today with Mr. Dedric and Krystal Polite, founders of Be Polite Properties and the stars of the new A&E TV show, 50/50 Flip. Guys, how are you today?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good. Good. Hey, look, I want to tell my BEB family, y'all know I'm from Philly. They're from Boston, but still be nice to them because they're Celtics and Patriots fans. All right?
Listen, we're from Beantown, but we got love for Philly. All right. Family from Philly. We done been up and through Philly. So
that's what's up. Cool. Well, for the people that don't know who you are, can you guys give us a little background, personal background, and then we'll jump on your entrepreneurial story?
Yeah, a little background. So I'm Dedric Polite. This is my beautiful wife, Krystal. I'm from South Carolina, originally born Gullah Geechee heritage. Grew up in Boston, Massachusetts. Was raised by a single mom, oldest of 3 sons, raised in Roxbury, in the hood in Roxbury. Grew up on Section 8 housing, but education was really what got me out of the hood. Right, I got a full scholarship to a private high school in Boston. Ended up getting a full academic scholarship to Ivy League college, and that kind of opened up a lot of opportunities for me. Went into corporate America, did my thing there, but it wasn't really for me. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I found this young lady, and she was already an entrepreneur, and we pretty much combined our talents and our efforts, and we went full force into entrepreneurship, and here we are today.
Cool. Krystal?
So I am originally from North Carolina, which is where we are actually right now, where we film the show. This is where I'm originally from, but I was raised in Boston as well. So ironically, both of our moms, single parents, ended up moving to Boston probably like a year apart from each other.
Wow.
So my mom moved in about 88. We came during the summer of 89, I think it was. And I was raised in Boston, went to public schools, went off to college. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 18, so I've always had my own business. And you know, you start off with that little young grind. I was doing throwing parties at the time, and me and my best friend. And from there, it just went from throwing parties to throwing events. Then I wrote my own play while in college, and took it on tour. And from there, it was always about, since I was probably, I think my mother said 6 years old, I knew I was meant to be nothing but an entrepreneur. 2011 or 12 that we met?
2009.
Oh, shoot.
Our first business together was 2011.
Right. So 2009, I met him. Our first date was a business meeting / date where, you know, we got to the meat and potatoes, early credit scores, 30-day goals, 60-day goals, things of that nature. But I came too from a single parent household, single mom with 4 kids. From North Carolina, who brought us to Boston, and humble beginnings.
That's what's up.
It was nothing but about grinding from there on out.
Nah, that's a great backstory. I know a lot of the BEB family members come from that same type of background, myself included. Single parent household, and been an entrepreneur since I was about 8, 9 years old. Also, I wanted to ask you guys. Now, Krystal, did you go to corporate first before you jumped into entrepreneurship too?
Yes. So
Okay.
I've always worked in corporate America. Right before we got into real estate, I actually kind of worked in real estate then as well, but I worked for the second largest AMC, which is an appraisal management company. So we were that third party that came about due to the crash of '08, where banks and lenders was like, hey, listen, we can no longer have independent appraisals being done. So they had to go through a third party, and that's the company that I worked for prior to going full time.
I know that story. Oh, I'm sorry. What were we say?
No, I'm saying I just want to add that even when we were corporate, we both always had side hustles.
Gotcha.
We were always doing something on the side to try to generate extra income to get free from the corporate rat race.
There you go. It's funny when you talk about AMCs. I know that world quite well. I owned a mortgage business. I had about 50 employees, multi-million-dollar business, and pretty much off the cliff. That's the second time I almost lost it all, but I've been blessed to be able to make several comebacks and build my businesses. So I definitely remember '07 and '08 for the wrong reasons. But so I wanted to ask you guys, it always seems like you had entrepreneurship on your mind, but was there a specific instance or did the light bulb just go off and said, hey, let's go ahead and leave corporate and do this? What was the impetus behind the actual move?
I mean, for me, it was, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad when I was 21 years old, and that opened my eyes to entrepreneurship and business ownership and really owning something. And it was really a dichotomy. Like, I was going to school with all these rich, wealthy folks, so their parents were already financially independent and doing well. And my background wasn't that. So I'm like, what are they doing differently? It was really reading and studying and learning how the rich and wealthy operate that opened my eyes to it. And then again, once we got together, it was like, okay, let's take action and really start building our own business so that we can become financially independent.
Yeah, and what I would say to add was from the moment we met each other, we were in our late 20s. So I think I was like 29 when we met. He was about 28.
My sugar mama.
When we met, the reason why I tell people our first date was a business meeting, because it was. We didn't speak about, I didn't care what his favorite food was because I hadn't planned on cooking it.
Right.
I didn't care what his favorite color was. I didn't talk about a sports team and all of that stuff. We talked about only what was of importance to me at that time, which was I was going to the next level, and I knew I needed that king to go with me. So I was done with the whole game and the rat race. For him, it was, I said, hey, listen, what's your credit score? What do you plan on doing in the next 30 days? What is your, I know I needed an entrepreneur because I'm a die-hard entrepreneur, right? So I know it was going to take an entrepreneur to understand my mindset and understand how my mind worked. And so for him, it was like, hey, what are your 60-day goals? What is your, 6 months goals? And it was
really an interview. She was interviewing me. I was interviewing her because we knew from the beginning, we know the chemistry and the attraction was there, but it was like, what else do you have to offer? Yeah. Right. I knew she was the woman I was going to marry. I wasn't ready for marriage when we first met. Right. I still had some maturing to do, but with marriage, that's a partnership. Marriage is literally a part. It's a contract. So we knew eventually we were going to be in business together. We wanted to build an empire. So that person had to complement.
Well, y'all must have been listening to my podcast last week or something, because I literally, my wife comes from a family of educators. Her parents were teachers, principals, provosts at colleges, and my wife is in education. She's a principal now, started out as a teacher. So when I left corporate America, I was a financial advisor at Merrill Lynch, and after college, that's where I worked for 6-7 years. But I'd always had businesses, and so right before we got married, and this is crazy, I decided I'm leaving. I'm leaving corporate. And so that dynamic that you just mentioned, my wife and I for a while were butting heads because she didn't understand. When I started as an entrepreneur 20 plus years ago, it wasn't cool. The word founder, people didn't even use that word, but that was always innate in me. And I think it behooves, I want the light bulb to go off for the BEB family. Which I talked about last week. You have to make sure that your spouse or partner understands that you're not doing this because it's a whim. You're not doing it because your friends are doing it. This is something that's innate in you. Absolutely. And you have to feed that. And I think the conversation, just like you guys did, needs to be had prior to you stepping off. Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up. I was actually going to get to that a little later, but I'll ask this now. How is it working with your spouse? Do you enjoy it? Is it a different dynamic to your relationship or what?
It's definitely, I would say, a different dynamic to our relationship because we are partners, parents, lovers, best friends, all of that rolled into one. And when you are working with your spouse, people will be like, oh, there's a separation of duty. There isn't. Right. When we are at work, we're working. When we go home, we're still working, right? So, right. But the great thing about it that I will say is that when you both love the same thing, right? We both get excited when we're taking down new properties. We get excited when deals close. So building this empire. So we both get excited for the same thing. I don't have to force what I love on him, and he don't have to force it on me. It is a shared love. Now, the challenges do come with the fact that you are co-CEOs, right? And at times you have to learn when to say, hey, listen, okay, this is wife talking now, not your partner talking. But the good thing is with us, we have very clear-cut, defined roles in our business, right? And what he handles, I don't handle. What my area of the business and my role, we don't handle. We don't overstep our bounds. When we have a question in regards to what's happening on the other side, like I handle the marketing in our business. If he has a question in regards to something that comes in marketing, he'll come to me and be like, hey, listen, what's the marketing plan, the budget, whatever it is for this quarter. But we stay in our lanes, which is super important for couples that are in business. At the end of the day, he's still the head of the household. And that's something that partners that are spouses have to also understand. So it's a lot of moving parts, but I would say I wouldn't have had it any other way.
Cool.
Which is why our first date was an interview.
That's what's up. Dedric, would you like to add to that, brother?
Yeah, definitely. It's a challenge working with your spouse because again, they're your husband or your wife and your partner, so those lines can get blurred sometimes. But I wouldn't have it any other way as well, because I really wanted someone that I could build a legacy with and do life with. Meaning, sometimes when you're with someone and they go off to work and you go off to work, you only see each other in the evening times for a few hours and on weekends.
Right.
And I was like, no, I don't want my wife working with someone else. I want us to work together so we can build. Now, again, we don't have to be together 24 hours a day, but I want to build something together, not have her really, slaving away at a job with someone else. But on the flip side, not all partners or, couples are destined to work with each other. Some have different, not everyone's meant to be an entrepreneur. It's a very small percentage of people who are entrepreneurs. Some people, they love their jobs, and that's great.
Right.
They should not be entrepreneurs. So I think it really depends on the individual as far as what they want for their relationship, but this works for us.
Cool. That's good. So, BEB family, take note of that. That was some very great advice and wisdom from Krystal and Dedric. I wanted to ask you guys, when you decided to go into entrepreneurship, why real estate? And was that your first foray when you decided to go full time?
So I'll answer that. So real estate wasn't our first venture. I'm a salesperson by background. I've sold insurance. I've sold lotions. I've sold potions. I've sold I've sold just about anything. I've sold millions of dollars. I've had success in sales. I've had failures in sales. I've been fired. But what I found in doing my research on wealthy people is that wealthy people own three things. They own stocks, they own businesses, they own real estate. And they own lots of it. So I was like, hey, real estate is tried and true. It's proven. Let's build our wealth through real estate, and then we can add on the other businesses and stocks.
Components.
So what I'll say to people in full transparency, because I always tell people your mess can be your message, right?
Right.
So for us, when I first met him and I went to his house, he had nothing but books on real estate, VHSs on real estate,
bookcases full of
full of real estate books, VHSs, CDs, tapes, everything on real estate. So I just see it and I'd be like, oh, you like real estate? And he's like, oh yeah, one day, I'm gonna get into real estate. And it was just like, oh, okay. He never really, he talked about it, but never took any action on it.
I was comfortable. I was working in corporate America. I was
right.
doing well. I had the company card, the expense account. I wore a suit and tie to work every day.
Right.
Pacified by the paycheck.
Exactly.
Go to handcuffs.
Yeah.
Exactly. So one day he ended up getting fired.
Mm-hmm.
And an entire week he went by moping. Right?
I was depressed.
Totally depressed. And by that third day, I came by to see him, and he was still moping around.
Right.
So at that point, I was like, what's wrong with you? He's
right.
Like, just trying to figure it out, And I'm one of them people who, you fire me, it's a weight off my shoulders. That's
exactly.
how I was in my 20s. Like, I was like,
I've never been fired.
I've been fired a lot of times. I'm proud of that.
She was used to it. She was like, oh, that's nothing. I'm like, thinking my world's coming to an end. But she changed my whole perspective. You want to tell her what you told me?
Yeah, so he was, I said, listen, because of how I was raised by my mom, and I saw him totally depressed.
Right.
And I came and I said, okay, now this is about the third day. So
right.
I was like, okay, look, all right. We got to get over this shit.
Right. Right.
And I said, listen, and these are my exact words, excuse my language. I said, listen, fuck that job.
Yep.
That job lost you. You didn't lose that job. I said, don't you ever allow a job to determine your net worth.
Exactly.
As an individual. I said, what you're going to do from this day forward, I said, you're going to shake all this shit off.
Yep.
Understand who you are as a man and really what you have to add to this world. I said, and you're really going to walk in your truth from here on out. I said, you're going to travel, get on your motorcycle, ride, clear your head, and decide what Dedric wants to do at this point. What is your passion? What did God put you on this earth to do? And
exactly.
It was not to work for someone else and build their empire. Because no matter what, your boss is not going to pay you enough to be his neighbor.
Exactly.
Right? So I said, what we're going to do is you're going to go off and find your true passion. I will hold us down. I will pay your bills. I'll pay my bills. But I want you to go and find your passion. From this point forward, don't worry about no job because the job lost you. Imagine where you're going to be in another year. And that's exactly what
you just gave me another pep talk. You gave me
man. Look here. If y'all didn't learn nothing, I'm telling you, y'all, I swear y'all must have listened last week because I talked about turning I know it's not politically correct, but a bum into a Superman. Not, you weren't a bum, brother. But what I'm saying is when you're busting your hump and you're working hard, and this happened with my wife and I, and the dynamic was I'm busting my hump, but the money isn't there yet because I'm building. And when I come home and I got to hear bill collectors call, this, that. Yeah, I know that's going to happen. That's part of the process. But I said, now, if you really want to help, I said, there's a difference between tolerating somebody's entrepreneurship or supporting. So if I came home and you said, hey, babe, I love you. I know you're going to be able to do it. I have faith in you. Man, I'd have ran through that wall. You know what I mean? And so, yeah. And that's something that I talked about, spouses or partners or whatever. If your spouse or partner is a true entrepreneur, they're not doing it just on a whim. Support that. Don't tolerate it, because when they come up, guess what? You're going to come up too.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Benefits you.
You
are 1,000% correct, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. For him, people was like, when we share our story, they always say, "Oh, okay, but what if he, that just allows a man to be lazy because now you footing the bill." I said, first off, a lazy man wouldn't have been in front of me to begin with.
And I wasn't going to allow her to foot the bill.
Yeah, exactly.
He wouldn't have been in my presence.
That's it.
Been lazy, because that's something I would have keyed in on within 24 hours.
That's it.
So you have to just be a better judge of character. I said, but I knew the quality of man that was in front of me. So it took him literally maybe weeks for him to come up with our very first business venture, which was Airbnb. As a couple, our very first business venture with Airbnb. We were only dating 2 months in.
That's what's up.
And he had already found Airbnb. This is in 2012. And he was like, listen, we can Airbnb. I found a way we can make money. Yeah. I said, well, what's that? He was like, this thing called Airbnb. He just started, is where we could possibly rent out your apartment since you're already always over here. We can rent out your apartment and we can make money. And then he was like, oh, but wait, your brother's in your apartment. I said, he was. Give me 1 second.
It's a wrap.
He wasn't paying rent. She called
just
him
that quick.
And said, hey, you got to go.
You got 2 weeks. No, I'll pay you rent. You have 2 weeks. Place has already been rented.
Deuces.
2 weeks. I said, now you tell me, what do we need to do from here on out? He was like, oh, okay. Well, I didn't know. He didn't know that's what was going to happen.
You wasn't playing.
I knew who you were.
Right.
I knew the caliber of man you were, and I was going to support whatever you put in front of us. Because if we fail together, and then we're going to figure it out, and we're going to come back even stronger. So I wasn't worried about that. But this is something he said, listen, I think we can, do it, be great at it. We made a little over 60,000 in 4 months.
That's what's up.
The first one.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So what I really like is it's teamwork, and that, it's ride or die. And I'm telling y'all partners and spouses, that increases your potential to be successful when you're working in lockstep. Man, look, I could talk to y'all about that all day. Y'all need to do a class on that. I'm actually doing a workshop and I'm going to invite you guys to it, that spouses that work together and spouses of entrepreneurs, because sometimes when that dynamic is off, man, it throws everything off. So I'll definitely, we got to link up after the show so we can connect. I wanted to jump in real quick. In terms of your real estate investing, do you do flipping, wholesaling, buy and hold, or all of the above?
Yeah, all of the above. We're what we call ourselves opportunistic investors. So we do buy and hold as our primary strategy. Our main goal is to build a huge portfolio of cash flowing rental properties. We also flip, we also wholesale, and we do creative finance. So we do all of the above.
Cool. If you don't mind me asking, what's the value of your portfolio that you're holding right now?
So right now, our portfolio is worth about $5 million.
That's beautiful. And you guys only started in what, 2017?
2017, yes, sir.
There you go. Light bulb, BEB family. It don't take a lifetime. You know what I mean? You gotta get at it. And what I'm picking up right now is y'all don't play. It's strictly business. And that's what it has to be about. So you're going to get out of your business what you put into your business.
Absolutely.
I keep telling people all the time, if you come home and from your regular job and you playing 3 hours of PlayStation, you ain't serious. You know,
like we treat this like a business. Again, I was making multiple six figures in corporate America, so it took a lot for me to walk away from that. Right. Friends, family, like, oh, are you crazy? You make how much? You walking away from that? But I'm like, I can make millions if I put 40 hours a week into my own business versus building someone else's empire.
And in actuality, I like to be a lot more realistic, and I tell people, you put in 40 hours for someone else, we're putting in 80 hours, 90 hours for us, because we are working almost until we are going to bed, other than the time we allot with our kids and things of that nature. But right now it's in grind mode for us because we have 2 little ones, right? Mm-hmm. And what we're doing is not for them, but it's for their kids, kids. Because if our wealth stops one generation after us, then we failed them. Right?
Exactly.
So our grind is right now where we're still young,
right?
To benefit future generations. That's true generational wealth. That Rockefeller stuff. They're kids.
Mm-hmm.
How many generations later, and they're still what
exactly
did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you. That was another question I was going to ask you, but I'm going to jump to that real quick. Talk to me about generational wealth and the importance for us as Black people, and what does that mean for us and our future generations?
I mean, for me, generational wealth is like my wife said, it's like setting up the next generation. We all know we're already starting behind the 8 ball, right? The average net worth of a Black family is like less than $1,000, while counterparts is like, $200,000. A lot of it is based on real estate, it's based on insurance, it's based on a lot of structural things that happened previously that put us in this position. But that's not an excuse. So again, one of my goals is I heard someone speak one time. A guy was a CEO of this software company, and he was like, his goal was for when his daughter turned 18, he wanted her to have 2 options. He's going to give her $250,000, and she could either use that to pay for college or use it to start a business. I was like, wow, that's crazy. Imagine if we gave every kid from our community that opportunity when they turn 18. So I'm like, man, we got to build so that our kids have a minimum of that, just so they have options to really pursue what they're passionate about versus just taking a job because they have to pay bills.
Right. How old are your kids, if you don't mind me asking?
So we have an 8-year-old and 4-year-old, 2 boys.
Okay. Are they working in the business yet?
Absolutely.
I did that with my girls. Yep.
They're working in the business. And
definitely.
For them, with generational wealth, like I said, if it stops with our kids, we fail them as parents, right?
Exactly.
But we're not, I also make it very clear, we're not giving them anything, right? Because neither one of us was given anything. And if we give you a rental portfolio that we've amassed to be $20 and $30 million worth of real estate by the time you take it over, then it'll be sold in a year.
Exactly.
It have had no value to you. There will be no, you won't understand the grind that mommy and daddy had to do this for you. So there will be no level of respect there. It will have been, oh, okay, boom. Yo, I can get 30 million for, sold.
Right.
But we tell them, we take them on these appointments. They go into these houses. They see the work. They will be working in this real estate business. They will be doing demo. They're going to work in the business to appreciate what we are doing for them. So by the time they do take it over, they will have fully understood the sacrifices that we've had to make for them and for this business. So it won't be sold out from under them.
That's
and then I won't
powerful.
Have to roll over in my grave and come back and haunt nobody.
That's powerful. I when my girls, my girls are grown now, 26 and 23. But when my girls were like 10 and 7, people in New York call it Italian ice, but in Philly we call it water ice. And so they started wanting Uggs and all this stuff. Dad couldn't go to the mall and buy bags of clothes anymore because now they had to be certain types of clothes, right? So they were getting to that age. And so I went to the minor league baseball team and I asked them, I said, do you guys sell water ice? at the games? And they were like, no. And I said, well, what's the process to get a cart? And so went and got a cart, spent $7,000 on this cold cart. You plug it in overnight and it'll stay cold for 24 hours. And so we named the cart, we had the business, and we had 41 dates a night, right? So the first year we did about $30,000. Second year we did about $50,000. The third year, the management company or the concession company wanted us to go to DC to the DC United soccer field team. And so I had to buy another cart. But what I was showing them is you can create money. And I used to let them count every day. So after the games, go ahead and count this up. Deposit, you can get 50% of it. You can play around with it, buy your stuff. Other 50, we're going to bank it for you. And so when you have a 10 and a 7-year-old counting a couple of $1,000s out, that's like a couple $100,000. You know what I mean? Right. So once again, guys, man, y'all must be related to me. I don't know, but but once again, guys, light bulb go off. This is something that wealthy people teach their kids. They integrate them into the business. They don't just hand them the business. They integrate so they can understand. And like you said, Krystal, what mommy and daddy went through to get to this point, so they'll appreciate it. Man, that's powerful.
You said it's called water ice in Philly?
Yeah, water ice. Yeah. Yep. Instead of Italian ice. Same thing.
I mean,
yeah, it's called.
That's a powerful lesson for them to learn that and learn those entrepreneurial principles at that age. I mean,
yeah, because mommy and daddy, we could buy the Uggs for you, but let's teach you how to create your own money. Absolutely. Now, how freeing is that? Absolutely. So, you know, and I want to tell people there's money actually is sitting up here in the sky. You just got to figure out how to get it and attract it. It's there.
And
it's there.
Do it while your kids are young. And
exactly.
People support kids quicker than they support adults.
Who you tell?
Are becoming multimillionaires.
Exactly.
Their parents are getting them into entrepreneurship at like 3 or 4 years old. And people are just supporting them. Oh, here you go. Oh, here you go. And next thing you know, you see them on Forbes at 5 years old for making cards.
Exactly.
Worth, $5 million.
It's crazy. But yeah, I love what you guys are doing, integrating your sons, your boys into the business. I wanted to ask you guys real quick, in terms of financing, my BEB family, if I don't ask this question, because a lot of times it's unfortunate, but intrinsically for Black-owned businesses, a lot of times we're undercapitalized. And so how did you guys finance your first purchase or your first real estate deal?
That's a great question. The one thing is credit, personal credit and business credit. So one of our first rehabs we bought the house for $15,000.
Wow.
At the time, it's cheap, but we didn't even have $15,000 cash to buy it. So luckily I had really good credit. So I went to the local bank. Hey, I want to buy a house and need some work. They're like, okay, how much is it? $15,000. Give us 20% down. We'll give you the rest. I got a bank loan, right?
Cool.
Then for the repairs, I borrowed money from my mom. She was one of our first investors. I was like, hey, Mom,
first private investor.
I need to fix up this house. She had $10,000 lying around, like her life savings. She loaned it to us. We fixed it up. We refinanced the house, paid her back with interest. So literally, that's how we got started building our portfolio, is just through going to the bank and getting a bank loan. But there's other ways. There's something called creative financing. Creative financing is maybe the seller can finance it. Maybe someone owns a property. Let's say it's a row house someone owns in Philly. No mortgage on it. People don't know this, but you can negotiate something where, hey, how much do you want to buy that? I want $100,000. All right, how about this? I'll give you $5,000 down as a down payment, and I'll make you payments of $500 a month for the next 10 years. And then whatever I owe you after that period, I'll just cut you a big check to pay it off. You don't need a balloon for that. You don't need a lot of money for that. That's called creative financing or owner financing. Right.
Nah, that's perfect. At the end of the show, make sure you guys give out. I'm gonna prompt you to give out your information, because the BEB family needs to really lock in, because there's a lot of stuff out there about real estate, but I always talk about knowledge versus know-how. So knowledge can be acquired anywhere. I can read a book, I can watch a video, I can, and I always use the example of F-15 fighter jet. So I can watch videos on how to fly it. I can read the book. I can read the manual. But if you put Jay Jones in that cockpit, I won't know how to fly it. I have knowledge of it, but know-how comes from doing. So I definitely want the BEB family to link up with you guys, follow you and everything, so you can get the real deal from people that are doing it, not talking about it, not the theory, but the practical application and doing it. And that's what we're all about here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. I wanted to ask you guys real quick. I know business is going well, right? Tell us about a time where there was a struggle, issue, problem, or failure in your business. What happened? How did you resolve it? If you resolved it, and what did you learn from it?
So, God.
Well, I think one of the parts of entrepreneurship is every day there's a challenge.
Yes,
there's a
Lord.
new challenge, right?
Yeah.
You just may be at a challenge at a higher level, but
Right.
there's always a mountain you got to overcome as a business owner.
Absolutely.
So it's like, which one?
Which one is
Right.
the question? Like,
Yeah. So is there anyone that was almost catastrophic or the worst one you could think of? It could have been a rehab that went well with upside down or something like that.
The one that stands out to me is we identified an apartment building that we wanted to buy. We contacted the seller. We negotiated to buy it. Now, this apartment building was dilapidated. It was vacant. It was almost condemned. We bought it for $55,000. Again, we went to the bank, put down 20%. We got a loan, and we're calling ourselves rehabbing this apartment building, a 4-unit apartment building. The problem was we had never done a rehab that large, right? This was like after we had only done one house at that time. So
Okay.
this was like, we thought the rehab would cost maybe $80,000. When we got the quotes back from the contractors, the rehab cost was like $160,000.
yep.
Wow.
We were like, we're not ready to take this on, because if this goes wrong, this could be catastrophic to our career. We're just getting started.
Yep.
So,
Right.
Of course, Krystal still wanted to do it. No, we're not doing a gut almost $200,000 rehab when we've never done one this big.
Right.
The last one was $35,000. This is almost $6,000 in repair costs. So we tossed and turned and agonized over it.
But before, you have to say,
Oh,
right.
before we even closed on it, I was thinking about not even buying it.
Right.
Because
Gotcha.
we got the rehab numbers. I was thinking about pulling out of the deal. She saw the bigger picture. She was like, no, let's still buy it because I want to establish a relationship with this seller because he owns like 100 properties.
Oh, wow.
well, I told him, I said, listen, I don't care what we have to do. I don't care if we got to pull out our entire savings to buy this house, this 4-unit, we're going to do it. I said, because with this man, he was that old school guy. I said, listen, he's about a handshake and you being a man of your word.
Word. Yeah.
That's all he cares about. I said, so if we make good on what we just said, that we're going to buy this 4-unit, we will get the rest of his properties. And my husband was like, well, babe, we can't do this rehab. I said, listen, I don't care, but we're going to take this property down because I have to show him, listen, you are a man of your word, and we'll figure it out after that. And he was like, all right. Went, got a bank loan.
We bought it. Closed on it. And again, we passed on a rehab, right?
Okay.
And we just put it on the market as is, and we bought it for, I think, $45,000. We put it on the market as is for $55,000. So we got out of it as is, just sold it, made a little bit of money, didn't lose anything. But we kept our word to the seller. We established a relationship. Over the next 3 years, he proceeded to sell us his entire portfolio of properties. Not only that, he seller financed it to us, meaning we didn't have to go to a bank. It was all owned free and clear. It was on a handshake. He was like, hey, just give me like 5% down, make payments. And now we own his whole portfolio, including the mobile home park we just closed on last week.
Oh, man.
And it
That's
was
beautiful.
only because, and he said it to my husband, and I remember him calling me. He was like, babe, you were right again. And his son wanted to inherit the properties.
Right.
And he said he wants them, but I'm giving them to you because you've been a man of your word the day that I met you, and you've kept your word. He said, so because of that, I feel more comfortable selling them to you.
Yep.
Powerful, man.
Literally
That's
sold
powerful.
us all of his portfolio.
That's powerful. So speaking of that, talk to me about in real estate, the importance of relationships.
Yeah, I mean, it's like any other business, not just real estate, but every business is based off relationship.
Absolutely.
It's not what you know, but it's who you know and who knows you. And again,
Right.
it comes back to being a man or woman of your word, right? Don't overpromise, but when you do promise something, deliver on what you say you're going to do. And that'll help you build strong relationships.
Yep. So for us, referrals are everything. right?
Right.
Especially when it comes to contractors. When we're looking for a new contractor, we look for referral only. Someone who you can put your name on. Somebody can put their
Right.
name on
Right.
you, where they can come back and be like, hey, listen, don't mess this up. I referred you to X, Y, and Z. Make good on what you do. I told them about you. So your reputation is everything. A lot of our sellers and clients who come back is through word of mouth. Like way before this TV show ever came about, they come back because of who we are. Even the seller for that 4 unit, the buyer for that 4 unit has now purchased probably another 8 or 9 properties from us. She continues to come back to us because we make good on our word and we do what we say we're going to do when we say we're going to do it. So relationships are key in this business.
Yeah, that's deep. Once again, that's a learning point, BEB family. Make sure you do what you say and say what you do. Now, I want to jump to your TV show, right? Now, I watched, when we're recording this, February 2nd. So I was only able to watch the first episode, which my wife and I watch a lot of, these shows. And one of the things that we talked about last night, we drinking some wine, watching the show. And I said, this is good. First of all, the representation of us doing positive things and good things on TV, that's number one. But number two, it didn't look like it was staged or set up. This is what you guys do for a living, right? So I wanted to ask you guys, how did the A&E show come about? Did you produce it yourself, or they came to you to do the show? And the show was called 50/50 Flip on A&E. Make sure you guys check it out.
Yeah, it airs every Saturday on A&E. The first series premiere just came out last weekend, but every single Saturday at 12 noon on A&E. And how it came about was the power of social media.
Yep.
They literally, we didn't go seeking out a show. People told us for years, oh, you guys, y'all should be on HGTV. Y'all should be on TV. And we were like, yeah, that's
we
great.
was like, no.
That's nice, but we're just doing our thing. And we've been approached several times over the year by different casting agencies and directors, but we didn't pay it no mind. It never really went anywhere until A&E really approached us, and took them a while to really get through to us and like, hey, we really want to do a show on you guys. Then when we engaged, we had a round of interviews and Zoom calls and everything, and we made it to the finals. And they were like, "Yeah, we want you guys to do this show." And we were like, "Wow, we really got it."
Yeah,
that's what's
really
up.
We weren't interested in the beginning because we had been approached so many other times, but our kids were small, so we were not interested at that time. And then they came about, got a hold of us. And we said, let's just see how far to go. That's really what we were saying the whole time. We was like, yeah, we're not going to do it, but let's just see how far we can go
with the process.
In the process. So it literally, as the round after round, the whole time we kept saying we're not going to do it.
Right.
But we want to see how far we can go. And then they came to us and was like, hey guys, the executives have decided they really want you guys. Want to see if you guys would be interested in joining the A&E family. And we looked at each other like, oh shoot. we didn't expect it. So we was like, oh crap, I guess we're doing a TV show.
And then the other caveat, like you mentioned, is a lot of these home renovation shows some of them are, let's just call it what it is, staged and fake. And as you can tell from talking with us, we're real people, right?
Right.
We're not gurus, we're doers. We actually do the business.
Hold on, man. Y'all take, because I say that all the time. I'm telling you, you coined that for me, man, or what? I don't know, but I say that all the time. I said I'm a duru, not a guru. Right? Yeah. Get out of here. That's what's up.
We actually do the business. So again, we didn't want to be on TV faking with all that stuff. We're like, no. So in A&E shoots documentary style.
Right.
Cool.
So when they came to us, like, look, we're just gonna follow you as you do what you do.
Right, and that's the great part.
Okay, as long as you understand, we're gurus. We actually
right.
We're doing this every single day, and that's the great thing about the A&E family is it's not scripted with them. They are literally
You've seen First 48. You've seen Parking Wars.
Right.
Yeah.
It's real.
Right.
Flip is real. They literally showing us as we rehab these houses, and the whole concept is 50-50. We rehab houses in 50 days or less for $50K or $50,000 in renovations or less down here in North Carolina.
So yeah, because it's funny. I was actually reading an article. My wife, what's the show she really likes? Love It or List It, right?
Yep.
And so I sent her an article one day, and it was a lady that was on the show, and she was like, "Oh yeah, we've had this house for about 6 months, and then they made them go back and act like they were hunting for a house when they already were moved into a new house." And I was like, yeah, and I knew a lot of that stuff was staged, but I appreciate you guys, the way you're doing, the way A&E and you guys are doing the show. And that's one thing I looked at. So on the first episode, I was like, oh man, when you found out that you had some more damage, like with the side of the building, and then also like all of that stuff. So in terms of that, did you have to go back and recut that? Because y'all had some pretty clean language on the show. I guess you can't really say what you wanted to say when you found out some of the stuff. Did you guys have to go back and recut any of that, or they were
bleep out a few, extra, but it was real. I found out some of that like on camera, like
oh wow,
real reactions to it.
That's what's up.
And it's
so
we watched it at the same time everyone else watched it, so we've seen no episodes.
Gotcha.
Anyone else? So when we were watching it, I remember him after that scene calling me on the phone, totally upset. Like,
right.
He was, hey, Eid, okay? Like,
right.
What happened? And then
that happens in rehabbing houses. There's always
all the time. Yeah, all the time. I remember my cousin and I, we used to do some flips here and there. I hadn't done one in about 2 years, but I remember we went through something like that, and we basically took an L because the foundation and the structure, it cost more than that. We just sold it off to somebody and lost about 10-15 grand between the two of us because it didn't make sense. Yeah. So no, but that's good to know. I wanted to ask you guys real quick. I only have a few more questions. I don't want to hold you too long. Is there anything that I neglected to ask you that you feel is important that the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint family needs to know? Because I tried to hit on a whole lot of things, and I want to go back to the show real quick after this, but I wanted to put that out to you.
Yeah, what I would say is that I like to make very clear to people is we started this while both of us were working full-time jobs.
With two kids.
Cool. Young. And I think 2017 we started, so we had a less than a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old when we first started this. Both working 60-hour weeks at our job, 60 hours a week with both of our jobs. And we were still doing real estate part-time. Mm-hmm. So I like to tell people that because it shows the possibilities.
Right.
People think you either need a ton of money or you need to be in this full time. So people come up to us and they'll be like, yo, I did one deal, I'm thinking about quitting my job, going full time. Like,
don't do it.
They never said that. We tell people don't quit your day job off
right.
of that, right? When we went into the business full time, it was a process. We literally structured it strategically so I can go in first.
Mm-hmm.
My salary was a lot higher, so we got used to living off of one salary first while she was still working. For an entire
year. We said, listen, we set it up when we go over what we call our VTOs, a Vision Traction Organizer, and we spell out our goals for the entire year based on 30 days, 60 days, 6 months, a year. And one of our goals and processes was to really go down and map out my departure, right?
Gotcha.
To fire my boss. And so for an entire year, we bankrolled. So for the first quarter, we took 20% of my paycheck. Then the next one, we went to 50%. Save 50%. So we were literally saving 100%, fully living off of just one income. So I try to explain that to people and let them know, listen, there's a process to everything. You just have to figure it out and find it.
Yeah, we didn't just jump off with both of us quitting our job after we closed one deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We don't recommend that.
And you can do this while still working your full-time job. It is possible with kids, single parents. I have a ton of females and even single fathers who come to us and be like, yo, it's just me, my kid. You know, how do I do this? How do I delegate my time? But first and foremost, the most important thing is we educated ourselves first.
That's what I was gonna say.
So we spent over 6 figures in just education alone. It ain't didn't do one real estate deal.
And
Right.
just to clarify that, it wasn't 6 figures at once.
Right.
But
Right.
we would hire a coach here that's an expert in,
Marketing.
rehabbing houses. We pay him $5,000. We'd hire a consultant there that knows marketing and pay them $2,500. And again, a lot of this we put on credit. We put on either personal credit cards or because we didn't always have all that cash. So again, that's why the importance of credit comes in again. But over time, we've spent over 6 figures on getting educated. And then again, learning from gurus, people who are actually doing the business actively, not 5-10 years ago, instead of gurus who are just selling, information.
Programs. Right. Yeah. I wanted to ask you, Dedric, when Krystal said you had a bookshelf and tapes and all of that stuff, did you have Carlton Sheets on there? Was he one of
Yeah. Listen, I have Carlton Sheets because my mom, she in the 90s, she worked for a property manager. She ordered the late night infomercial.
Yep.
I found them as a kid. It was like, hey, make $100,000 a month, go on the beach and drive a Rolls Royce. And I'm like, that's what I want to do. So I'm watching this as a teenager. Those seeds were planted in my head. I still have those CDs from Carlton.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my mom had them. I had them. And it's funny, what you guys were talking about, investing in yourself. Once again, another learning or teachable moment, BEB family. If you're not learning, you're going backwards. There's no such thing as standing still. You got to continue to educate yourself and invest in yourself. Talk to me real quick, guys, about mentorship and how important that is to you.
Yeah, like I just said, mentorship has been critical to our success.
Yes.
We joined something called a mastermind early in our career. Mastermind is not just one mentor, but it's a group of highly successful people in your industry who are doing the business at a high level, right? We had to pay, $16,000 was our first mastermind. But these people were all full-time real estate investors, all making over $1 million a year. So we had to get around them to see how do they think, how do they operate, what type of know-how do they have that we don't have. Again, I didn't want to spend that money.
No,
she was like, "We're going to $16,000 just to hang around some people," and it was one of the best investments we ever made because within a year we were at that level because we hung around and learned from those people who had already done it.
And we were, what I like to people, because I'm full transparency when it comes to us, is we were coming to this mastermind quarterly. Flying out to St. Louis for this mastermind, and we were the only ones every quarter that ain't done no deals, right?
We were working, but we were struggling.
You got to get
a year
up.
and a half to close our first deal.
Right. Present what you done. Say, what do you need help with, right?
Right.
The same was, I think it was twice, two quarters we went, and we were still,
on that donut,
but we done this, and this. After that second one, and we had a newborn.
Okay.
We're literally traveling back and forth, and I told my husband, I said,
we said to each other, we're not coming back out here.
We said this is our last
without
time.
any deals under our belt.
No, not again. And that's exactly what it was. That the motivation from just being the ones at the bottom.
Right.
Was enough to be like, yo.
Have to level up.
You got this. Yeah. Well, it's funny. One of my mentors, I have like a whole ecosystem around Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, online courses, books, all of that type of stuff, learning academies and all of that. And one of the things that one of my mentors told me, he said, dude, I know you're trying to attract as many people as, you can to help them. My whole thing is launch, build, and grow your business. Build an economic power base in the worldwide Black community by launching, building, and growing your business and supporting Black-owned businesses. That's what Black Entrepreneur Blueprint is about. And the crazy thing is, he said, you're actually doing your customers a disservice because you're not charging enough. And when you pay $16,000, you're focused, aren't you? You engaged, aren't you?
Listen, I put on my credit card, and I'm very hawkish about my credit.
Yes, he is.
So
right.
Like,
and if
it's not an optional if this is going to work. This has to work because I got to pay back this credit card. So
exactly. So if that mastermind cost you $160, you would have probably been like, it's no thing.
Serious.
Right. So that's when that all comes with pricing and all of that type of stuff, and being able to position your product or your service where it makes sense. So he was like, dude, I know you're trying to help as many people as you can, but some of your programs it took you 3 months to create this. You need to charge more money.
Right.
So I said, you know what? Because what else happens is there are people that are going to get in the program, and because the program was like $297, if they didn't do anything, guess what? But when I charge $997, $1997, $39, it's a big difference. So I want you guys to understand position and pricing when you're creating your products or services. I'm not going to hold you guys because I know we're coming up on the hour. The last thing I want you to do before I ask this last question is, how can the BEB family follow you and connect with you? And do you have any products or services that can help our platform learn from your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. They can follow us on all things Be Polite. So Be Polite Properties on all social media, YouTube, Instagram. Of course, you can look up Dedric and Krystal Polite. So we have a new website called dedricandkrystal.com. And we're going to be launching some educational programs this year. We're literally working on them as we speak. We're going to have an online course. We're also going to have some 1 and 2 day trainings that we do to show you exactly how we do what we do in our business. And then we will have some high level group coaching and masterminds as well. We're going to be developing. So stay tuned for those coming out later this year.
Definitely. Last question. And I'm going to start ladies first. Krystal, if you had the opportunity to have a conversation with one person, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Great question. I've never been asked that.
That's why I asked. Try to get y'all.
If I had to say it right now, and I know afterwards I'll say to myself, like, Dad, I should have said that. Man. I think it would be, who do you think it would be for me?
You can't ask me.
He trying to figure out his answer.
He's gonna be mad at me, like, why didn't you tell me who my baby supposed to be?
I would say,
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you go.
Yeah, all right, you go first, bro.
Mine would be Mansa Musa.
Oh man, there you go.
So we're actually helping our son. He's doing a presentation on Mansa Musa right now, our 8-year-old. So I've been learning about this guy. I'm like, man,
wealthiest man in the world.
Wealthiest man in history, came from Africa, the Mali Empire. So I would love to be able to have a conversation with him.
Yeah, giving out gold on his travels. Right. Yep. Yeah. All right, Krystal, you up?
Okay.
That clock is ticking now.
Who would it be?
We got Black History Month this month, so it could be a Black History person, anybody, entrepreneur.
Who do you think it would be for me? Who do I talk about the most?
And because we're recording, I'll cut out the silence.
Rockefeller, because she's generational wealth.
I was about to say, and he kept coming. He's the first one that popped in my head, but I kept thinking, like, who else?
Gotcha.
But it would probably be John D.
Rockefeller.
And the only reason why I say that is because before we had met, I read his book. And I probably read 2 or 3 books on him. And just how he structured his business, even with his kids, just blew my mind. So it made me understand why, 10, 20 generations later, they are still benefiting and eating off of what he did because of the strict businessman he was in the beginning, but he was really building generational wealth from the very outset.
Exactly.
So like one of our first dates, because I was so enamored by just his processes, he took me to, what was the mansions in Rhode Island?
The Breaker Estates and stuff.
Oh, wow.
Rhode Island, which is in Newport, Rhode Island, which is where their homes and stuff were. Then we went to the one down here in North Carolina, which is the Biltmore.
Vanderbilt.
The Vanderbilt
Yep.
Biltmore.
Crazy, isn't it?
Just that whole dynamic of
Generational wealth.
Wealth building and the mindset. My thing was just the whole mindset behind it. Like, you know, with his kids and how he did his kids where, you know, they had pennies.
Right.
Like every week he made them total. He wasn't giving them dollars and stuff. When they did something, they could go and mow the entire front lawn. It was 10 cents.
Right.
But they couldn't spend it. That he taught them how to literally save, and then they had to have a ledger accounting for everything that they spent using their money. It was just mind-blowing for me. So that's kind of how I wanted to raise our sons in teaching them the true meaning of wealth and not being rich, right? So when people ask my son, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I first heard his answer, from that moment on, I was like, wait a minute. Because he's a basketball player, which is, he loves basketball, he loves baseball, that's great. But we conditioned him to understand that, listen, it's great to be a basketball player, but it's better to own the team.
That's it.
Yep.
So now, and this has been like 3 years that we've been getting this ingrained in him. So now he'll be like, yeah, I want to be a basketball player, but then I want to turn around and I want to own my own basketball team. And he's able to tell you why. Right?
That's it.
And it's all just about conditioning and making them understand, like, you know, listen, you're not going to be just that next athlete because that you become rich off that.
Right.
That's not where wealth is built. Right.
Exactly.
And even when we go to the grocery stores, I take pictures of everything. When I'm out and about, I'll take pictures of everything that Shaq is on.
Right.
And I'll come home and I'll show my son. I'll be like, hey, look at this. And I'll swipe through my phone and I'll show him all the endorsements.
None of that playing basketball.
He is on.
He
and I
owns
say,
other businesses.
Is he in the league anymore?
Tons of business.
He says,
no. Yep.
And I say, okay. Then we have a whole conversation about how this was possible and what he's doing now by doing all of this. So
exactly.
Yeah, that was fine.
That's great parenting. So now, and one of the things that I really appreciate about you guys is you get it, but you're passing it along, and especially to your children. And so that's legacy, man. And they're going to do the same thing with their kids and their kids' kids. And that's what we have to start building in our community. And I think another thing is we have to understand. I'm having a conversation with a buddy of mine, and I was like, you know what, man? I said, my oldest daughter used to live in LA. She's in New York now. My youngest is working in Chicago, and I love LA. So I was joking around. I was telling my wife, I said, you know, we should buy something out in LA, maybe retire in LA with the mountains and you know, the weather. And one of my friends was like, what idiot retires in one of the highest cost of living cities in the world? But I said, from the standpoint of an employee, you know what you're making every 2 weeks, you know, and sometimes you can't even have that vision because your money's already spent before you even get the check. But as entrepreneurs, we have the opportunity, which is unlimited. So I can buy things, I can invest in a business, I can start another business. And that is a possibility for me because first it starts here mentally. And when you have that other mindset that, man, you know, I make X amount a year, I'll never be able to afford $1 million house in LA. And so without being able to have that dream and having the opportunity, you know, to earn what you're worth, because you're never going to earn what you're worth when you work for somebody else. It's an arbitrage, you know. So they're going to pay you this. And that's why I used to get fired a lot, right? Because when I came into business, I'm looking, all right, if they're paying me this, well, how much am I really worth?
There you go.
And I'm never going to be worth more than they're paying me unless I'm the boss's kid or something, right? So, you know what I mean?
But it's just understanding and knowing that's what's going on.
Right. And if you're cool with that, like you guys said, not everybody is built to be an entrepreneur. Right. But if you're cool with that, that's fine. But, you know, having that vision and imagination to be able to live the life that very few people can, you know, I call that it's freedom, man. It's freedom. It's freedom. I just want to say this real quick. I'm going to let you guys go. You had also mentioned, Krystal, when Dedric was going through the little depression when you got fired, right? And you told him to find out what his purpose or do what he was supposed to do. I have an episode. I'm actually working on a book. It's called Pinpoint and Monetize Your Genius. And your genius is the intersection between your passion and your talent. So something that you're good at, something that you enjoy, and something that people will pay you for. And if you can meld those together, then you're going to live a life that nobody else can live. And you guys are doing that.
Man, that's powerful.
Pinpoint monetizing.
I got goosebumps on that because that's what real estate and entrepreneurship is for us.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I can see it, man. It's oozing out of you guys. So, but that's the beauty, man. I get to meet great people like yourselves. And I want to thank you guys for coming on. I appreciate you for sharing your time with us. BEB family, make sure you check out 50/50 Flip on A&E and connect with the Polites, Dedric and Krystal. We really appreciate you sharing with us, family.
Thank you so much, Jay. We really appreciate you having us on. We absolutely loved our time with you.
Cool.
And BEB family, connect with us, and it's us that you're actually connecting with, right?
That's what's up.
Always people hopping our DMs all the time asking questions about real estate, and we try to get as many of them answered as possible because we really want to see people win. And like I tell my husband, we are only successful if we're able to make others and those around us just as successful as us. We can't eat if everybody around us is starving.
Oh,
So,
that's beautiful.
our main goal is to make sure that anyone who is connected to us can benefit from it. And I don't care if that connection is a text message, a DM. If you have a question that I can help you with that could potentially change your life, then that's what I'm going to do. That's what my husband's going to do. So keep that in mind when reaching out to us. We really want to see the next person win. And it's not about $1 for us, because we're going to bust our behinds and grind
That's
out
it.
until we can't grind no more. But if we can help you along your journey, then we are more than willing to do that.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you
having us, Jay. Appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely, Jay.
Yeah. Man, that was an amazing interview with Dedric and Krystal Polite. I want to do a few takeaways, but before I do the takeaways and close out the show, let me just share my social media contact information and my resource links. So at the beginning of the show, I mentioned my new book is out, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. You can go to anewblackwallstreet.com, pick yourself up a copy, $14.95 for the print version, $9.95 for the digital version. Now, everything I'm going to tell you is actually on the website, so you can go to blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. If you want to take the shortcut, go to bebconnect.com. Everything I'm about to tell you is on the website. So I also mentioned at the top of the show 2 platforms I created to help circulate dollars in the worldwide black economy. Number one, BeSmartByBlack.com. If you're a black product producer that want to sell your products to black consumers worldwide, upload your product information. It is free to BeSmartByBlack.com. Now, I didn't forget about you freelancers. If you're a freelancer and you do anything on Fiverr.com or Freelancer.com, I've created a platform for you, which is also free. It's called HireBlackFreelancers.com, HIRE, BlackFreelancers.com. Upload your information. It's free, and you can connect with black business owners and black consumers that want to hire black freelancers. I also mentioned at the top of the show my new rebranded, rebooted BEB Academy. So you could get 3 days free access to the Academy. You have all types of learning content. It's an online learning portal to help you elevate your entrepreneur IQ. It has over 15 different courses, programs, and resources, and we update the content every month. Go to bebacademy.com and register and get your 3 days free. Also, if you are into e-commerce, you know I'm a big proponent of e-commerce because e-commerce pretty much saved my life with my e-commerce brands, my physical products brands, and my digital products brands. So my Brand Builder Academy Elite, BBAElite.com. It is the #1 e-commerce learning portal out there right now if you're looking to build a successful physical products brand or digital products brand. Okay, now it's a 15-week implementation program that takes you from product ideation to building or creating your product and then selling on your website and other applicable websites. 15-week implementation program, pound for pound, the best program out on the market right now. So go to BEBacademy.com. Once again, guys, everything that I'm just talking about is on blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. Please go there, hit the Learn tab, and you have all the different resources. You'll see all the courses and everything I'm talking about. Now, let me give you guys my social media and contact information. Anything long, family, make sure you hit me on my email, jjones@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, JAYJONES@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. Facebook, go to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Twitter, jjones001, JAYJONES001. Instagram, I got 2 IG handles, guys. Number 1 is jjones for real, JAYJONES, the number 4, REAL. The second one is Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Clubhouse, if you're on Clubhouse, I'm at I am J Jones at I am J Jones. LinkedIn, follow me there, J Jones Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Also YouTube. This is actually a video, which has an audio capability also, so you can listen to this podcast or you can watch the podcast. Go to YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. We have additional content on YouTube that is not on the actual podcast. Now, all you first-time BEB family members, we come out every Monday morning, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on all your major podcast platforms and YouTube. Once again, guys, this is a lot of information, but go to blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. Everything I talked about, all the links are there. Go around and play around with the site. Once again, guys, we want blackentrepreneurblueprint.com to be the go-to site for Black entrepreneurs. You can get your resources. You can listen to podcasts. We have master classes, workshops, webinars, the whole thing. blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. All right, now let's go and talk about some takeaways from today's amazing interview with Dedric and Krystal Polite. So one of the things I wanted to focus on was the actual dynamic that they have. We talked about on the interview about how it is with a husband and wife, spouses or partners working together. So I really love the dynamic that they have, and they talked about separating their duties so they're not all both doing the same things. You know, somebody's focusing on this and the other person is focusing on that. So you don't want to overlap with that. But really, what really stood out to me was the purpose, the why. I always talk about the why. Why are you doing this? It has to be greater than just money. And so what Dedric and Krystal talked about was generational wealth. And something that they said really stuck out. So they said that if you only have generational wealth just for your first generation, that's a failure. You need to build generational wealth for multiple generations. You know, then we talked about something that's going to keep that generational wealth alive. If your kids aren't indoctrinated or understand what you've done as parents to create that generational wealth, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to spend it, right? Unless you teach them how important generational wealth is and how to work in the business. And that's something that they also discussed about their sons right now. And they're young, but what I loved about it is they're indoctrinating them into the business ownership in business. Most people that have generational wealth are focused on 3 asset classes: real estate, securities, which are stocks and bonds, and also business ownership. And so that, I think, was paramount in today's interview also. So those are 3 things or 3 asset classes that we need to look at, and we don't have to reinvent the wheel. So I love that. And what I also want to point out too is that they've only been into the real estate game a little over 3.5 years and have amassed over a $5 million portfolio. And when they talked about how they got all of that, you know, they lived up to their word. So when Dedric didn't want to go through with that deal, Krystal was like, hey, we got to go through with it. This is an important investor. And that paid off in the end, where that investor actually sold them his whole portfolio over a period of time. And that was an amazing story. And that just goes to show you that, you know, do what you say and say what you do. And so that's something I thought was really important and stood out in today's interview. But make sure, guys, you know how we do it here. Make sure you support the Polites. Make sure you check out 50/50 Flip on A&E. Support them. Check out the website. And they have a lot of good resources on there. And they're also going to be coming out with some programs to help people learn how to invest in real estate. So as soon as that comes out, I will definitely alert you guys, let you know when it's out so we can support them like we do everybody else on the platform. Now, before we close on out, guys, just want to share a few things with the BEB family. I say this each and every week, but I couldn't do this without you, the BEB family. Please continue to spread the word about the podcast, the blog, the ecosystem, and most importantly, now the new revised BEB website, which I want people to use as quote unquote the resource for Black entrepreneurs. So make sure you go to blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com, play around in there, and also sign up for the newsletter. Comes out every Monday and Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it has all types of great content for Black entrepreneurs. And it also has the show notes for Black Entrepreneur Blueprint and Ask J Live, my companion podcast. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about us as a collective. So it's about building an economic power base in the worldwide Black community. So I say to you guys that it is no revolution without economics. Economics is the foundation of everything. Never forget that. Be Black, buy Black, and continue to support Black-owned businesses. Love you guys. See you same time next week. Peace.